She voices one of the most recognizable anime characters of modern times, who's quoted to be the face of the Gyaru who's kind to otaku trope. But in the highly competitive world of Japanese voice acting, how did this newbie bag such a major role? Stick around to find out. A few surprises in this one. In this episode of Otaku Files, we talk about Suguta Hina. Most of us outside of Japan may not be aware of some of the more interesting personalities within the Japanese otaku landscape, so I thought I'd do a little video series and try to shed some light on these individuals. This is Otaku Files.
Happy Valentine! チョコが好き
For this episode of Otaku Files, we're going back to the world of seiyuu. Compared to the other seiyuu I've covered, this seiyuu may not be as well known, but she's certainly on her way there, having already made her mark as the voice of Kitagawa Marin in the anime adaptation of the manga series Sonobisku Doru wa Koi o Suru, known as My Dress Up Darling in English, a story revolving around the relationship between a hardcore otaku and cosplay enthusiast, that being Kitagawa Marin, and Gojo Wakana, who is aiming to be a Hina-do craftsman. Although the manga began its serialization in 2018, the first season of the anime adaptation came out in 2022 and ended up causing a social phenomenon. It's said that Sonobisku Doru wa Koi o Suru actually helped lower the bar for those wanting to get into cosplay, spreading the idea that anyone can be a cosplayer. Also, Kitagawa Marin, being a Gyaru that's popular within her class, is also said to be the face of the quote-unquote Gyaru who is kind to otaku trope. This Gyaru who is kind to otaku thing apparently started on the Japanese interwebs sometime in the early 2000s, as sort of like a meme or a thing that supposedly doesn't exist. But some fans of the series don't actually agree with the idea of Marin representing that, since she herself is a hardcore otaku. Which, in all honesty, makes sense to me, because it's not like Marin is just a Gyaru who's okay with otaku, she is actually a part of that community herself. Anyway, Marin is voiced by Suguta Hina, and in fact, that was Hina's first time voicing a main character. But of course, Hina's work is not limited to Marin, as we'll soon find out. Hina is from the prefecture of Hyogo and has a younger sister. As a kid, she says she was just full of energy and willing to try anything. She was apparently friendly with the other kids in the neighborhood too, as they would all get together in front of her house and do things like pretend that they were running a shop. At that time, Hina was also into our very own Morning Musume, and even pretended that she was one of the members. In fact, she really did get into music. Hina really loved singer-songwriter Yui, and in high school saved her pocket money so that she could buy an acoustic guitar, so she could just be like her, and would spend ages playing it after school. And as some may know, this would also prove beneficial to Hina in her seiyuu career too, because from 2020, she would get to voice Kirigaya Toko of the Bang Dream franchise, a character that originally appeared in the game Bang Dream Girls Band Party as a guitarist for the band Morphonica. Along with the other seiyuu of the band's members, Hina actually plays Morphonica's songs live too. That's pretty cool. But it actually wasn't easy for her in the beginning, because Hina only played guitar as sort of a hobby and wasn't even able to read sheet music. The things you can accomplish out of desperation. Apparently, Kirigaya Toko is also a Gyaru, so it's almost like her voice is an earlier version of Kitagawa Marin. However, related to that, there is something important to note about Hina's personality. Unlike the Gyaru characters that she's known for, Gyaru typically being bright, cheerful, and social types, Hina is actually super shy and describes herself as the hikikomori type. In fact, she says she wasn't able to speak with the other members of Morphonica at first for around half a year. Over time though, through always performing with them, Hina would eventually open up and become friends with everyone. But when it comes to voice acting, once Hina reads her part, the required voice just comes out naturally. Now, something about Hina which I'm sure many people didn't know about is just before she started elementary school, she actually used to live overseas, more specifically Hong Kong and Singapore. However, even though Hina did apparently speak English around that time, after moving to Japan, she says it seems she traded English with Kansai Ben. Oh well. Now, there may be some that would assume Hina got into anime thanks to some shoujo anime series, but nope. Although she would get into anime series like Uta no Princess-sama and Free from her high school years, Hina's introduction to the anime world would happen through Shonen Jump. Originally, she was just into novels and wasn't even reading manga at all. That was until during middle school when her friends would recommend her to read Bleach. Apparently, all her friends were into Jump, so besides Bleach, she would also get into the other major Jump series like One Piece, Naruto, and what would become her favorite, Gintama. And her oshi is in fact Sakata Gintoki. Hina says that a shoujo series almost always centers around one couple that'll usually get together in the end, meaning it's hard for her to fall in love with one of the characters. But for a shonen series like Gintama, there's no such issue. I guess that's one way of looking at it. Anyway, as you could guess, this also relates as to why she wanted to become a seiyuu. Hina got into anime so much, she says she wanted to enter their world and speak with anime characters. However, she didn't actually become a seiyuu straight away. While going to university, Hina actually went to a training school in order to become a seiyuu. But upon graduating, she actually became a kindergarten teacher. Now, interestingly, a friend she made in uni also wanted to be a seiyuu, Hokaze Chiharu. So they both actually went to that training school, and Chiharu also became a kindergarten teacher, and no doubt provided Hina with a lot of support in order for them to both accomplish their seiyuu dreams. While working as a kindergarten teacher, Hina would spot an ad showing auditions were taking place for a new talent agency which also ran a training school called Animo Actor Source. Thinking that this was her chance, she decided to apply, and luckily, she managed to pass. Hina would make her seiyuu debut in the mobile game Shoumetsutoshi 2 as Haruka. Interestingly, Haruka is a part of an idol unit within the game called Supreme 5, which is for some reason spelled SPR5. Anyway, like with Moruphonica, Supreme 5 would actually become a real-life idol unit, with the members being the character's seiyuu, and yes, that includes Hina too. However, most of Hina's voice acting roles for around the first 4 years weren't that big. That was until, of course, Sono Biscudoru wa Koi o Suru. So how did she actually manage to get that role? Well, first we need to thank sound director Fujita Akiko, who decided to put Hina in for the audition. At first, no one, not even the staff, could really imagine what Marin's voice would sound like, but as soon as Hina said her lines, everyone knew that this was her voice. Even Hina knew that this role was just perfect for her, so obviously she was really happy when she got the call about her passing. Despite being her first time voicing a main character, Hina didn't actually feel any real pressure. The reason simply being that the recording was actually completed way before the announcement that the series would have an anime adaptation, and that she was just really happy to have gotten the opportunity. But then the first promo video was released, and people started to talk about it. Sono Biscudoru wa Koi o Suru probably gathered a lot more attention than Hina was expecting, and even though the director reassured her that she did a good job, she would get anxious watching each episode. So as you can imagine, for season 2, she probably wasn't as relaxed. In March 2023, Hina would win one of the newcomer awards at the 17th Seiyuu Awards, no doubt a big recognition of her voice acting skills. Also, the following year in April 2024, she would make her debut as a solo artist with the digital release of her single Lavender Blue. In fact, her single Usura, officially released in February 2026, was used as the ending theme song for an anime called Odayaka Kizoku no Kyuka no Susume. That's pretty awesome. I look forward to seeing where Hina goes from here. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. I'm actually a big fan of Sono Biscudoru wa Koi o Suru, so I was really happy to make this video about Hina. I definitely don't hear about many seiyus that used to be kindergarten teachers, so that was pretty interesting to find out. She does have a YouTube channel, by the way, more than one actually. I'll put some links in the description box below, as always. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, along with anyone else you'd like to see a video on. Again, thank you all for the support. Hope to see you again next time. Take care. Peace.